What happens when someone who was trained to work with numbers decides to follow a completely different passion? Today's guest left a career in public accounting to build a cake business, to be on Food Network, and to eventually help entrepreneurs with their businesses and understanding their numbers. This story is about courage. The story is about realization that sometimes the only one person that holds us back is ourselves. Nicole, why did you leave accounting?
I left accounting because I just had this baking passion that I could not ignore.
When did you realize baking could actually become a business?
I realized baking could actually become a business when I started working with a cake business coach, and I didn't even know that was a thing.
What's scarier, leaving a stable job or starting your own business?
I think leaving the stable job is scarier. There is fear in both, but that's hard to let go of one bar before you have hold of the next one.
Why do so many creative people struggle to make money?
That's a great question. I think because creative endeavors, you have so much of yourself in the product that you feel guilty charging what you're worth, because most creatives just want to help people and make people happy.
Nicole, why did you return to bookkeeping after creating your cake business?
I really missed accounting. I think my brain loves puzzles and making things fit, and I just really missed it. And so I wanted to do it on my own.
What do people misunderstand the most about the cake business?
Customers misunderstand that they're ordering a product that's very custom, and so it's going to cost more than a grocery store cake. And I think hobby bakers who want to turn it into a business misunderstand that there are business skills that they may not have, but you can learn.
Why did you create a pathway to profit?
I really, at the heart of it all, I love being an entrepreneur and I love helping people. And the two ways I can help people are making them happy with amazing cakes and desserts, and I help small business owners so they have clarity on their finances.
What has been the most unexpected turn in your career?
I think winning Entrepreneur of the Year with the Greater Arvada Area Chamber of Commerce in 2022, it came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it at all, and it was such a huge honor.
It was well deserved.
Thank you.
Today I'm sitting up with somebody whose career beautifully blends creativity and business. Nicole Bendig-Lamb. Nicole is an entrepreneur, a cake artist, a bookkeeping professional, an educator, and in the past, a Food Network participant.
That is correct. All of it. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Nicole is the owner of the Snarky Sweet Cake Chick, where she creates incredible custom cakes, and also the founder of the Pathway to Profit, where she helps entrepreneurs understand their numbers and build profitable businesses. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today for this podcast, and I'm especially grateful for you to be my first podcast guest.
Tatiana, thank you you have no idea what an honor it is when you asked me to be your first official guest. I almost cried because it just made me so happy because I'm so excited for you. I've watched your business grow, and I just love you're so supportive to the community. So it is absolutely my honor. I am thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. So Nicole, if somebody were to meet you today, how would you describe what you do?
What a great question, because I think, for so long my identity was, well, I'm an accountant. And when I have this, this fun little hobby on the side. And then I left public accounting to do my cake design business full time. And I did that only for a long time. So then, well, I'm this cake chick. I'm the cake chick. And so it's like when I tell people, I think the easiest way is I just tell them, you know what, I'm an entrepreneur and I have 2 businesses with kind of a third. We can get into that. But, and then it's a great icebreaker, I think, for people because, yeah, my story's pretty interesting, I think, and fun. Lots of fun.
That's fantastic. So I remember you've mentioned before that you started baking since you were a kid.
Yes.
Since you could barely reach maybe the countertop.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about how did it start?
Yeah, so I'm from a pretty big family. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. So there were 3 boys, 5 girls. And my mom was also from a big family, and I had lots of aunts. And so I had all these aunts and all these sisters, and we loved to get together and have family celebrations. And it was always around food and in the kitchen and cooking and baking and laughing together. And it just really solidified that connection between all of us. And in particular, one of my aunts owned a restaurant in Utah, and she would come visit us, and we were always so excited when she'd come. She was an amazing cook, amazing baker, but also just this larger-than-life personality. She is no longer with us, but shout out to my Aunt Florence. I feel like she's with me all the time. But she used to let me come visit in the summertime and help in the kitchen at her restaurant. So when I say help, it meant things like fill the condiment containers on the tables and wipe things down. And, she was so gracious to let me be there. And I tried really hard not to be in the way. But she just really inspired me because she lost her husband to a terrible accident. And so here she was, having to run this restaurant by herself, and she just kept it going. And I think, through all the hard times, she just, at the root of it for her too was, food bringing people happiness and joy, and having a restaurant. It's a place for people to gather. And she was like Wonder Woman to me. I just couldn't get enough of her. She was great. And so she was a huge inspiration for me as far as like baking in particular. And I do love to cook as well, but baking was always kind of the thing that I gravitated toward. And so I just kept at it every day after school. I'd come home and bake something, cookies, brownies, different kinds of desserts. And then I would go to family weddings and I'd be that little girl that just would stand in front of the towering wedding cake and just in awe of not just the fact that it's like, wow, that looks delicious and I want to eat it, but I just couldn't believe that something so beautiful would then be cut, served, and consumed, and everybody, would celebrate together. It meant so much. And so that I was probably about 10 or 11 years old when I was like, someday I'm going to make wedding cakes. I'm going to do that. And then, of course, obviously, I did go on to do that. But I feel like I just had that. I feel like I was born with this desire to do that. And so it's just always been part of my life.
Wow. Thank you for sharing the story.
Yeah.
I was very curious if you ever imagined yourself being a little girl, if you're going to have this cake business and this career and this path. So it's super interesting to hear since you were little, you saw yourself making cakes.
I did. I saw myself making cakes. However, I will say, and we'll probably get into it later through my story, but I don't know that I necessarily, my 10 or 11-year-old self, thought I would have it, thought that I would be the business owner. I saw myself doing it, but maybe not as an entrepreneur. So that was a different twist that came later.
So, Nicole, in 2018, you decided to leave public accounting
Yes.
and pursue your dream and
Yes.
build a cake business.
Yes.
So, what was that like?
So, I kind of had the inkling that I wanted to do it for years, and I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin. It's interesting because even though, I'm an accountant and I was working in public accounting and helping other small business owners, it's different, to think about yourself doing that. And there are also a lot of things that I didn't really know. Like I knew, everything about the setting up entities and business compliance and bookkeeping and tax and all that. That was fine, but things like sales, marketing, and I had no idea how to do that. And so I think I did have a lot of fear about, well, I don't know if I can do it. And I would have people tell me all the time, because I'd make cakes for friends and family before I did it as a full-fledged business. And then, word gets out and people would start asking, well, how can I buy one from you? Or, oh, you should do this for a living, or you should, why don't you have your own bakery? And I would always say, oh, no, I could never do that. That's, I just couldn't do it. And, after years and years of people just saying things like, oh, I think you missed your calling, and like, why? And I finally just thought to myself, what? Yeah, why? Because I knew other people did, because I didn't go to pastry school, so I learned on from my aunt as far as like technique and baking, but decorating, that was all self-taught through, I like to say, YouTube University, or reading cake forums, looking at magazines of pictures and trying to replicate. And so I knew other people were doing it. So I think I just kind of had an epiphany one day of, well, yeah, why couldn't I? And I realized that the only person that was telling me that I couldn't was literally me. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I could do this. And, doing research online, I got connected with a cake business coach, which I didn't know that was really a thing. But I just started working with her, and she just made it so attainable by actually doing what I would do in public accounting when I'd help small business owners understand their financial statements. It's like overwhelming when you don't know what you're looking at, but you know what? Just break it down into little manageable steps, and you just put one foot in front of the other, and you just keep building on that until you've got that momentum. And so that was really the key for me. So I said, okay, I think I want to do this. And of course I had to let my husband know, like, hey, I'm going to quit this really great paying job and just bake cakes. What do you think? And he was so supportive. And, being an accountant, I kind of went to him with, but here's my business plan. Like I'm asking for a loan or something. But it's like, well, this is, I think I can do this, this many cakes a week at this profit margin. And if I'm not working any other job, I think I can do this. And he was so supportive. He was like, I think you should do it. Go for it. Why not? I mean, you've always got the accounting to fall back on if it doesn't work, but yeah, go for it. And so I set a goal. I'm really big into reverse engineering, like what do I want? Okay, now what are those steps? And then you just chunk it out a little bit at a time. And so that's really how it happened. And I worked, once I decided that I wanted to leave public accounting, I set up my entity, opened up my business bank account, and I just started taking, well, I was lucky. I took 50%, so I took half of every accounting paycheck, immediately put it into my, I'm going to start my home-based bakery account, and I did not touch it. And so my plan was to do that for a year and a half, and then once I had that, and I quit public accounting, I'd have that cushion, right? And so I was kind of self-financed because I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't get business loans because they can be very helpful, and there's all kinds of things, and that's a whole other episode. You should get someone to talk about those. But I knew that I could do it, and I thought, well, I have this chunk of money. If I don't make a single penny from making cakes, I'm going to be okay. And we'll see what happens. But of course, I knew that I would be making money because I already was doing it. You know what I mean? And so that was logistically how I did it. And but I will tell you, when I had to give my notice, that was hard, because it's not like I didn't love my job, because I did, and I worked for a great CPA firm that, I mean, I loved working there. I had great staff, great managers. I mean, I could have easily stayed there and retired, and that would have been fine, except for this little voice that was like, go make cakes. You should do this. So giving my notice was hard. And I gave them, first of all, okay, in public accounting, April 15th is like the big deadline, right? You do not leave a public accounting firm during tax season. That's like burning bridges, and I would never do that anyway, right? I gave him my notice on April 17th. However, I gave him 6 weeks notice. Because I'm like, well, it'll give you time to hire somebody, and then I can maybe help train them or whatever. In hindsight, I think I could have given the 2 weeks notice, and it would have been fine, because they weren't upset with me or anything. They were sad, but that was the hardest part, I think, was just telling my boss, hey, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go do this full time. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had a very good and structured planned exit and a plan how you're going to start this new beautiful adventure.
Yes.
And I love that about you. I love the structure. I love the reverse engineering.
Yeah.
Even working with you on my business, like I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
So it's still, those skills still very transformative to everything you do.
Yeah, and also too, I'll just mention, a lot of people, when they're like, wait, you're an accountant and you're a cake artist? Those are such different things, the right brain, left brain. But really, if you really think about it, it's not that different, because both of those paths require high attention to detail, precision in both of them. And my brain I just love that. My brain loves to make things fit and then make them beautiful, or take something that's messy and make it clean, and it's just so satisfying.
Perfect. So you mentioned that you found a cake business coach.
Yes.
And then you ended up taking over that business.
I did, yes. That was something that I did not see coming at all. It was really fun how it happened, because when I was working with her, so her name is Rebecca Camphy, and she actually lives in Australia. She's Australian. So everything was online, which, thank goodness for the internet.
Yes.
She had digital courses that were kind of on demand, log into at your own pace, but then she would also offer, a few times a year, like kind of private group coaching, and then I anytime she offered anything, I'm like, sign me up, because she was just so impactful, and I just loved her style, and she was great. So as I'm working with her to start my home-based bakery, I had also expressed to her, I think I would like maybe to have a cake blog or something where I can have a community of other home-based bakers, because she was so impactful for me. I wanted to pay that forward, here in the U.S. And, she works with people all over the world. But I had mentioned that to her, and So when she decided that she was ready to kind of step away from that, because she'd been doing it for a long time, I got this message from her one day that she said, well, this is, confidential, but I'm looking to sell. Angel Foods was the name of her business. I'm looking to sell, and you're the first person I thought of because I know you're really passionate about building something like this. What do you think about this? And I was just like, wow, she thought of me, little old me. And I was so excited. I remember running downstairs to my husband, and I was like, Jeff, you are not going to believe this. And so I, told him, and, I got to give him props because he's a computer programmer, and he's very logical and methodical, and as you can imagine. And here's whimsical Nicole, who's all over in the cosmos. It's like I say, he's like the string to my kite. He keeps me grounded. But he was just like, well, I mean, you're trying to build that. Maybe why not just entertain the idea? I mean, see how much she is asking for it and what it entails and all that. And I was so jazzed. And so that's how that happened. I honestly feel like I was okay, universe, this is what I want to build. This is what I want to do. I think I'm meant to do this. It was almost like silver platter. Here you go. Here's a head start. And it was just too good to pass up, and doing that and taking that over, which was in 2020. So we all know that was a challenging year. However, because 2020 was, everybody locked down at home, I just used that time to take her content and kind of make it my own and add, my accounting spin and the cash flow and the profitability spin on, an already amazing content. And so, that was a really fun process. And like I said, just a total surprise. I keep just getting these amazing surprises that I just don't see them. It's like I want them, but I don't see them coming. And it is so much fun. I will tell you, it's just a lot of fun.
Sounds like it was meant to be.
It feels that way. It really does. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Could you tell us about this business today?
Sure. Yeah, I would love it. So you talked about Pathway to Profit, my bookkeeping business. So Pathway to Profit is technically a doing business as underneath my main entity, which is Cake Business School, LLC. So it's Cake Business School, LLC, doing business as Pathway to Profit. So with that structure, I was able to, so really it's one business entity. I know it's a little different paths, but it just allowed me to consolidate helping other business owners, but also focusing on other home-based bakers and cottage food producers. And for those of you who don't know, cottage foods the cottage foods laws are the laws in each state that allow food businesses to sell certain items legally from a home kitchen so that you don't have to have a storefront or go rent a commissary or things like that. And so today Cake Business School is rocking it because I have a wonderful book of business of small business clients that I help with bookkeeping and cash flow analysis and things like that, and all kinds of, accounting support. And then I also do speaking, teaching, traveling. I'm actually traveling next month in April to teach a cake or baked goods pricing course at the first ever Cottage Foodie Con. So I'm very excited to do that. I've had the honor of speaking at the International Baking Industry Expo. I spoke at the National Pastry Convention. I've had vendor booth at That Takes the Cake and Cookie Con. And I mean, this is my job. Like, what a fun job, right? Mm-hmm. I used to think about, other people where I'm like in my cake studio and, I've got my hair tied back and my apron on and the music going, and I literally dance around when I'm doing stuff because it's just fun. And I'll stop sometimes and just like take a breath and just say to myself, I'm at work right now. Instead of a lot of people who, if they don't like their jobs, are like, I'm at work right now. But I'm like, I get to do this. Like, how lucky am I that I get to do this and that I can take the things I'm passionate about and actually get paid to do it. It just blows my mind. And that's why entrepreneurship is it's so rewarding. And is it easy? Heck no. But it's so worth it, really. I mean, if you have that drive and you can get the right people to help you, support you so that you can grow, there's just really nothing like it.
I love that for you. I would never imagined there are so many different baking workshops and groups and conferences. Yeah. It sounds really big, everything that you described.
Yeah, and that's just a tiny bit, really. Wow. I mean, and I'm even learning more about the industry every day. I'm like, wait, what's that organization? Oh my gosh, it's big. And I mean, I feel like it's probably because there's a ton of accounting expos too, but I bet those aren't as fun.
Probably. Perfect. Okay, so Nicole, I heard not once that Food Network opportunity is one of your favorite stories.
It really is, yes.
So could you tell us a little bit about how did that opportunity happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was in 2012. So I was still doing just hobby, not really a legit, well, I don't know. I had a website. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Snarky Sweet Cake Chick yet, but I had this janky little website that was like a Yahoo make your own template thing. I mean, 2012, so you can imagine it was not like some fabulous website, but I just would put up photos of my cakes. And people could email me from there if they wanted, if they were interested in, learning more about this. So I was at that time, I was a single mom. I was engaged to my now husband, but we were still dating, so we weren't married yet. So I was living as a single mom with 2 little boys, and I was trying to remember. I was working in public accounting. I think I was going to Metro State studying accounting at night because I had plans to take the CPA exam, which I didn't ever sit for. That's a whole other story. But I had all the education I needed to do it. But one day I was checking my email from my website, and I got this email, and it was this person who said, "Hi, we came across your website. I am a producer. We are casting for a new Food Network competition show, and we're looking for new talent, and we would love to talk to you more about this if you think you might want to audition." So now you have to kind of think back that I was watching. This was mid 2000s was really when all the original Food Network Challenge. I mean, all that was really the only cake competition shows that there was whatever was on Food Network, and it was a few, but they were starting to really explode. And so I was like, wow, that's really cool. That's really cool, man. And I had people, again, the same pattern. I had my sisters and friends like, you should be on one of those shows. Your stuff is just better than that. I mean, they were so sweet. I'm like, okay, I don't know if it was better, but yeah, I had all these people telling me, oh yeah, you should, yeah, I wonder how you get on one of those shows. And I'd always kind of in the back of my head think, wow, that would be really cool. But yet, oh, that'll never happen to me. But you know, how cool for other people. So you would think that when I get this email, I would be, thank you, universe. There's my opportunity. I'm ready to do it. No, I immediately thought, yeah, right, this is a scam. So I ignored it.
Of course. Because
I'm like, there's no way. I literally couldn't believe it. Like, you found me? What? From that website? So I ignored it and didn't really think anything of it. 2 days later, follow-up email, same guy. Hey, just want to make sure you saw this email, reiterating everything. So I was like, man, this is a persistent scammer, right? Well, I had been doing a lot of weddings with a local chef here in Denver, and he had some connections with some Food Network show professionals, because they actually filmed some of the Food Network challenges here in Denver.
Wow.
And I actually got to sit in the audience at one.
Ooh.
Actually, I was on Food Network before I was on Food Network. There was a flash where they showed me in the crowd at one. I have a VHS videotape of it somewhere in a box of my first Food Network appearance where I'm just in the audience. But so I reached out to Chef Dan and I said, hey, I got this email. What do you think? Because they're being really persistent, and I mean, I'm intrigued, but I just can't believe it. So I forwarded it to him, and he said, well, I don't recognize that particular production company, but, you know, it could be, it doesn't, you know, respond. Just, you know, be smart about it. Don't, you know, give them your social security number right out of the gate. I'm like, okay, well, I think I can handle that. So I wrote the guy back, and I was really kind of guarded about my response too. I said, yeah, you know, okay, I would be interested in hearing more. Can you just email me back with some details? And he wrote back and said, well, let's just get on a phone call. So this was before Zoom too. Let's just get on a phone call. It's so much easier. We can go over everything. And I was just like, I don't know you. Yeah. So I talked to my fiance, now husband. I was like, well, I don't know. What do you think? And he's like, what does it hurt to have a conversation? So I get on the phone with him, and he's like, okay, our production company is Super Delicious. We produce Cake Wars, Cupcake Wars, Halloween Wars, Holiday Wars. And I'm like, well, I know all those shows. Yeah. And I fact checked, and I'm like, there is a production company named Super Delicious. Huh. Okay, they are legitimate. And so I kind of reluctantly agreed that I would audition. So I'm like, how do I do that? So he said, oh, it's really easy. You're just going to film I think it was like a 2 or 3 minute audition video. You're going to upload it to a YouTube with a private link. And of course, like, I wasn't YouTube savvy. I've been on YouTube looking at cakes, but I'm like, I don't know how to upload something. Anyway, I figured it out, and I filmed this funny, I wonder if I still have it somewhere, my audition video. I literally stacked all my accounting textbooks on the dresser in my bedroom and put my little digital camera that would record video on it, and stood, and I had my 10 key adding machine, and I talked about being an accountant, but I really want to make cakes, and I threw the calculator behind me onto my bed. Like, forget that. But it was fun, and I did it, and I kind of was, whew, okay, I did it. I auditioned. I assumed that I would never hear anything. I didn't think it would go anywhere. And I was really proud of myself for trying and being considered. It was an honor to even be asked, right? So I just kind of filed it away. About a week later, he calls me and says, what's your schedule like between this date and that date? And I'm like, why? Why do you need to know this? And he's like, oh, well, you're going to be on season 1, episode 4. And I just was like, what? Are you kidding? No way. And this was in the evening, too. So he's like, yeah, so I need to know, are you available? And I was like, well, I got to ask my boss for time off because I was working in a CPA firm. Thankfully, it was not during tax season. I think it was in August. And I said, well, I have to see if I can get the time off. And he was like, look, you need to tell me now. Do you want to do this or not? Because if you don't, I got to move on to the next person. I mean, it was literally like, he was probably like, listen, sister, I've strung you, I've pulled you through. Now you need to, like,
Yes.
do it if you want. And I was like, oh, okay, yes, I'll do it. And so then he went through okay, you're going to get a FedEx packet. It's going to have the contract, the non-disclosure, all that stuff. And so I literally hung up with him, called my boss at home at night, and was like, Sam, can I have these dates off? And I'm going to be on a Food Network competition show. And he was so excited for me because I would bring cakes into the office. So he's like, absolutely. So I'm like, wow, okay. So what happened was a whirlwind trip. They flew me out to Los Angeles. They had a driver pick me up at the airport and take me to a hotel in downtown LA. They had a driver that would come to the hotel every morning at like 5 a.m. to pick us up, the teams, and take us to either the set or the commissary kitchen or whatever for all this like pre-competition day prep stuff. And I literally felt like a rock star. I'm like, this is awesome. And so competition day came, and our team struggled, to say the least. I tell people we were the disaster team. So yeah, we absolutely came in last. And at the time, and this was really important, I want people to really listen to this. At the time, I was heartbroken, like crushed. Like, this is my lifelong dream. I get on the show, and the piece that we made, I mean, I will tell you, it was a 6-hour competition. Like, that part, that's real. Like, it's 6 hours. There is a clock on the wall. And not only is it 6 hours, but, they want over-the-top crazy stuff. It's impossible, really, in the real world. Like, a pastry chef and a cake artist would never do a showpiece of that size in 6 hours. Never. Like, this would be probably months of preparation of like planning and then weeks of prep and then hours and hours. So it's a TV show, right? They want good TV. And so what I ended up realizing after the episode aired, because I didn't know what, you don't know, you film and then you don't know what they're going to use until the time comes. So I watched it on TV with my family for the first time, just like everybody. But what I realized was, well, hang on a minute. I got the most airtime, like specifically me. Not just my team, but me, because I was like the team lead because I was the cake artist. And so I got the most airtime, and I feel like, man, that's who people are going to remember. Like, oh my gosh, remember that poor girl and the fondant was falling off her tower? So, I mean, who cares? I didn't win. Big deal. I was there. I met some of the most incredible incredibly talented people, some of whom I'm still connected with, some of whom I run into at all these expos. I mean, that was 2012. That was such a long time ago, but it was so much fun, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't go back in time and win, because the lessons that I was able to take away were worth so much more. So that is my confessions of a Food Network loser.
Wow, what an incredible story.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with
You're
us.
welcome.
So you said the lessons that you learned.
Mm-hmm.
So could you tell me maybe a couple lessons or a few lessons that were the most impactful?
I think lesson number 1 is to believe in yourself, first. Like, to believe that, yeah, you can do this. Because I truly believe if you want something, or you have a passion or a desire to do something, I feel like that is your soul's purpose, your God-given gift. Like, that's why you're here. And so I think you've got to, like, there's a reason you want that thing, right? So believing in yourself is super important. It's very important not to give up, because nobody, invents something and the first prototype is perfect, right? It's trial and error, and every time something goes wrong, it helps steer you toward what's going to work better. And so I don't believe in, mistakes per se. I mean, yes, okay, there are mistakes, but I feel like even if you do something like really stupid and crazy and you wish you hadn't done it in the moment, guarantee if you just like kind of step outside of yourself for a minute and look at it through different eyes, you'll see, hey, there's a lesson in there that if you can learn this lesson, that's just going to make it that much better in the future. And I'd say the third lesson is to not take yourself too seriously. Really. I mean, depending on what business you want to go into, I still think you can have fun, no matter what it is, if you're really passionate about it.
And it sounds like you're still having fun.
Oh my gosh. Every day is like, I still look around and I'm like, man, I can't believe this is my life now.
That's fantastic. So at some point, you decided to return to bookkeeping.
Yes.
Why and how did that decision happen?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because it's not like I was bored because I was pretty busy. Once we got past the pandemic, then, things started opening up again, and then I got really busy again with cakes and desserts and things like that. But I just really, I think my brain just really missed that. And I don't know, because I'm super active in a lot of business organizations, particularly the Arvada Chamber of Commerce, which is how I met you. I don't know. I think I saw a lot of business owners kind of struggling with that, and I would hear, I'd hear questions, and I'm like, I know the answer to that, or I know how to help, or, and yeah, I kind of just, honestly, it was almost like, well, maybe I could just take a couple clients just as a, kind of keep my brain fresh, because if you don't use certain skills, you get rusty. It really started as, I'll take a couple and then a few more, and then a few more, and then a few more. And then I had a time where I was like, whoa, I got way too much, and I had to pull back. Lesson learned, But, yeah, it really just kind of organically happened, because I knew I didn't want to go back to public accounting. And again, not that I hated it or anything, but I think I love the flexibility that I have as being my own boss. And I probably work more hours now than I did, working for someone else. But it doesn't feel like work. So again, it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying I never have a bad day, but for the most part, I mean, if you really are passionate about something, you're going to be happy if you pursue it,
So you speak a lot about being happy and being inspired with the work that you're doing. But every entrepreneur, I know for sure, goes through hard times and
Absolutely.
difficult decisions. Could you maybe share one of those moments where you felt like that was one of your turning or hardest points in either of your businesses?
I think the pandemic was probably the hardest kind of slap in the face that I felt. And I know the whole world was feeling it. But I think, the industries that were hit the hardest business-wise, travel and hospitality, because everybody was, okay, stay put. And I did have a lot of anxiety about, because nobody knew, like, how long is this going to last? Like, what is going to happen and what's going to be the new normal? So I did have conversations with my husband about, do I need to go back to public accounting? I mean, I can, I again, it was like this fear that I was being like, well, I wait it out or do that. But it is really interesting because my husband, who again, he's like the greatest guy ever. He's so supportive. He said to me, well, he's like, okay, first of all, do you want to go back? Like, do you feel like you don't want to do this anymore? And I said, no, I don't think it's that. He said, okay, because we're fine. We got this. I know nobody knows what's going to happen, but I mean, he said, unless you want to go back, I would just wait it out. And so I was like, okay. But I'd keep like going to him, and if well, you know me pretty well, but I'm really, I run a lot from my emotions and my intuition, and I get very, wrapped up in things. And, Mr. Logical computer programmer Virgo guy is like, compartmentalize. It's like, nope, this, that. It's 1 or a 0. It's yes or a no. And so I kept going to him like, well, I don't know, babe. Should I? I don't know. I mean, geez, we're still in lockdown. And he would say, you don't do that anymore. This is what you do. And I'm like, okay, I got this. And then finally, I know he was getting irritated with me, because he finally said, look, if you keep asking me, do I think you should go back to accounting because you feel guilty or something, just know I'm fine. Like, we're fine. Like, just whatever you want to do is what you want to do. And so I agonized, and I do remember, lots of sleepless nights during that time because of the uncertainty. And there's always uncertainty in everything, but this was a pretty extenuating circumstances. Like, of all the things, when I thought about leaving this great paying job with security and benefits and all that, of all the things of like, well, what could happen? Global pandemic just was not on my list. I just did not think of that. So
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
a lot.
yeah, that was rough. And there've definitely been ups and downs. I've had times where I've had maybe customers that I had challenges dealing with. A lot of people don't understand why a custom cake from just little old me at home, why does it cost that much? Oh, I could go somewhere else. And it's like, well, they don't understand that process. And it used to really make me mad and frustrate me, but I learned to reframe even that, and it's like, well, they don't know what I do. They're not in my kitchen watching all the hours of detail and like the sketching and the planning and the thought process that goes into like a bespoke custom cake that's like one of a kind. So yeah, it's not always sunshine and roses. My husband also says it can't be sunshine every day. But I think if you just have to keep it all in perspective and just like keep calm and carry on.
Love that. Could you just maybe talk to us a little bit more about the common misunderstandings around running a cake business or about cake business in general?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot of people who are really creative, maybe, and if you've never owned a business, why would you know? Why would you know, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so a lot of people have that same path that I had where it's like, it's a passion, it's a hobby, then you start doing it for friends and family, then people start asking to pay you and they want to buy the things, and then you're like, whoa, okay. So I think one of the common misconceptions from the bakers themselves is not knowing all the little pieces that you have to do to run a business legitimately, right? To have a business entity so that you're not just running as a sole proprietor and then you have no liability protection from your business and your personal assets. That's a big thing. Then they don't know, wait, what can I legally sell? I don't even know what I can and can't do here. Or, wait, I have to collect sales tax? How do I do that? Or, all of those, like, kind of the mechanical pieces that go into running a business. I think a lot of people may think, I just do this. Well, you can, but if you want to be sustainable, you need to do it a certain way to make sure that you set yourself up for success. But also, I feel like a lot of people don't take the leap because, well, that's just so overwhelming. I don't think I could do it. But it's like, well, that's where I was, which is why, find the right coach to help you with what you don't know. Do it. And then another one is, how to price their product for profit. And that's so hard for cake artists, cookie artists, even people that aren't selling food that, any art or creative endeavor is, knowing how to do that and then not feeling guilty about charging what you need to charge. So those are a lot of the misconceptions from the baker side. And then if we want to talk about misconceptions that customers have about home-based bakers, I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but just them not understanding why it may cost more than storefront bakery. Also, maybe not taking them seriously, Like, oh, that's cute. You have a little business? Oh, cute. And sometimes that's hard to hear from people because it's like, oh, how dare you? I'm a serious businesswoman. But, they just don't. But again, they don't know either because they're not. If they could make this fancy, amazing cake themselves, they would, and they wouldn't need you. So, of course, they don't understand the process. So, I'm just really big into education, learning, growing. If you don't know how to do something, ask somebody who's already done it. And I really believe that most business owners are more than happy to help other business owners. I really do. I don't believe in competition. I think if you guys share the same target market, that's that's gold. You can still run your own businesses, but think about, partnering up and collaborating on things. It's like the rising tides raise all ships. And I live every day of my life, like, with that principle.
Thank you for sharing those.
You're welcome.
And you are right. A lot of people don't understand how the pricing works.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand that even running a cute little cake shop is still a business. There's still a lot of ins and outs and all the operational things that come with it.
Yeah.
That need to be taken care of. What would be one advice that you could give to entrepreneurs, like financial advice, like early on as they're starting?
Oh, great question. Great question. My number one answer. I love this question. Never commingle your business, financial, your bank accounts or anything. Don't commingle your business and your personal. So if you have, even if it's just you, and you're going to be at home working, you don't have employees or anything, super important to get a business entity set up, an LLC or whatever. I mean, I'm not giving tax advice, people, but I'm just saying, have a business, get a tax ID number for your business so that you can get a business bank account, and everything for your business is going to go in and out of your business bank accounts, and then keep your personal stuff separate. That's really important. And it's important for a couple reasons. Number one, it's so much easier at income tax time to sift through, okay, what can I actually deduct on my tax return, and what do I have to pay tax on, all of those things. So it's important from a compliance issue, but I think more important is hey, I'm a serious business. So it's a mindset thing too, because you're taking yourself seriously by setting this up to protect yourself and to set your business up for success. And so if you take yourself seriously and you treat your little business as a business, other people will too. And if you treat it like willy-nilly, I'll deposit that here and I'll pay for this on my personal credit card and I may or may not, deduct it or whatever, then how, A, are you going to be sustainable? And your potential customers, I'm not saying they're going to see your bank accounts, but you have that energy of, if you don't care, they don't care. So take yourself seriously. You can do this.
This is a golden advice. Very good. And you're right. It all starts here.
Yes.
It all starts with the business owner.
Yep.
So, Nicole, what are you working on today?
Oh, gosh. Like today, or these days?
What are you working on these days?
I have exciting stuff happening. So, in the fall of 2025, I invested in a new piece of equipment for my home-based bakery. So it is a direct-to-food edible printer. So super fun. You can check it out on my Instagram because every time I use it, I get my camera out and I film. It's the coolest thing. So I can print any high quality image. So it could be a picture, a logo, a QR code, a funny image. I just talked to somebody yesterday who said, "Oh my gosh, I want a cookie with the art from my tattoos." She loves her tattoos. I'm like, "Oh, I've never been asked to do that. That's cool." So I'm launching. So I'm stepping away from wedding cakes. I've been doing wedding cakes for such a long time that I'm ready to pass the whisk to the younger bakers. But I still love what I do. So I'm launching my new line. It's called Snarky Sweet Edible Swag. So I'm going to be focusing more on businesses that may want to hand out something cool with their logo on it or something cool with their tagline on it. So think like I can print on marshmallows. So if you want to give at Valentine's Day, you want to give your clients like hot cocoa packs with a little marshmallow with your logo on it, things like that. And then, the general public could do it too, because you could have at weddings, even though I'm not doing wedding cakes, think about a cookie with the guest's name on it for a place setting, things like that. And it's just a little extra touch that people think they think it's really cool because it is. It's memorable, and it's still something sweet that they can just enjoy in the moment. So I'm really excited about that. And then I'm going to be teaching, I mentioned it before, depending on how we all edit this, but I'm teaching at Cottage Foodie Con in the end of April. I'm teaching a pricing course, which is very needed, and that'll be fun because it's the very first one ever, so that's fun. And what else am I doing? I know there's other stuff, but those are the two big things now that I'm super excited about. I'm just looked at my new website for Snarky Sweet Cake Chick. It's not up and live yet, but it's gonna be soon, and I'm really excited because it's really fun. It's very different from the one I have right now. The one I have right now is kind of serious. I need it to be more like me.
That's awesome. And yes, you're right. Like those printed on sweets, they're so cool.
Aren't they? They're so
I love
fun.
them.
They're just fun. It's like a way to spark a conversation. If you hate sales, if you're like scared to talk to people, hand them a cake pop, and what a great way to start the conversation, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
How can people find you online?
So I have 2 Instagrams. One is at Snarky Sweet Cake Chick. I think it's just at Snarky Sweet Cake Chick. And then I have my Cake Business School Instagram account is Cake Business School LLC on Instagram. And then I also, Pathway to Profit, I don't have an Instagram for that. 2 accounts is enough to manage. Pathway to Profit Pro.com, and it's the number 2.
Perfect.
So yeah.
And we'll list those in the description as well, so
Awesome.
people can easily find you. So, Nicole, if there was one thing that you want the listeners to take away from our conversation today,
Okay.
what would that be?
The golden nugget from all of it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with if you have an idea or a passion for something, listen to that whisper and believe that you're meant to do it and you can do it.
This is so powerful.
I love it.
My final question will be, what would Nicole today would say to the little Nicole who had those first thoughts around having a cake business one day?
I just got goosebumps because, oh my gosh. I'm not even joking. Like probably 2 weeks ago, I was up kind of late in the evening. I was working on some cake orders. I had music blasting, and I think my husband was already in bed. So I was just in my kitchen in my groove. And for some reason, I was thinking a lot about not necessarily my childhood self, but my high school self. And I was very shy, which people don't believe because I'm such a chatty Cathy now, but I literally had this vision of me talking to 16-year-old Nicole in her bedroom in the basement in Wyoming, being all sulky and sad because she didn't feel like she belonged. And I literally was like looking at what I have now and realizing everything that I have inside me now, I had then. And I literally, in my brain, was telling her, why are you so sad? You are freaking cool, girl. I was like,
Yes.
I was like reliving like all the posters. Like I had my Duran Duran posters in my room, and I had these cool records. I had a little record player, and I was just like thinking, like, dang, you are so cool. And it just was this really almost like an emotional release moment. I literally started to cry like tears of joy because I was just like so grateful in that moment that it was just like this weird breakthrough that I just had with myself, dancing around my kitchen at 11 o'clock at night, dipping cake pops. But yeah.
Nicole, you're really cool.
I'm still cool.
You're very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that story. Thank you again for being on a podcast today.
Yes, thank you for asking me. I'm so excited.
And I'm so excited you got to be my first podcast. And thank you for your time, truly. This was so fun.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so excited to hear all the other amazing guests that I know you're going to get.
Oh, whew. We're done. Yay! Give her up.